Hey guys, welcome back. How are you? I hope you are good and doing well. So, in the last lecture, we just theoretically discussed about the task, like what we need to do and how we will achieve that association between job and the user. Okay. Now, in this lecture, we will start practical implementation of this task. Okay. So, let's again read the description of the task that we need to allow job seekers to mark the job as favorite so that they can see their favorite job as saved jobs. Okay, and we already discussed that this task clearly requires a many to many relationship between job and the user. Okay, so we need to, since we already have the job and user model, so we need to create the third model to implement the many to many association using has many throw association. Okay, so first go to the terminal and shut down the server. Why? Because we first need to create a feature branch for this issue. Okay, so let's create git checkout minus b. Okay, and if you have not completed the first task, which is to customize the device forms and add sign in sign out links. Okay, so either you can finish the task first, and or you can take the pull of the main branch. Okay, because that task must be after the first task. Okay, so you need to create feature branch by taking the pull of the main branch. Okay, so now what you need to do here, just check out minus b, because we are creating a new branch here, and then feature allow users to save job as favorite. Okay, so the branch has been created, and now as we discussed, what we need to do first, we need to create a association, okay, between job and user. But since this is the many to many association, so we need to create the third model first, or the intermediate model for job and user many to many association. Okay, so we can create model like rails g model, and we should name our model as user saved job. User saved job. Okay, and now this requires the attributes of job id and the user id as foreign key. Okay, so job references and then user references. Okay, and along with this model also require one of its own attribute, which is removed from favorite 8. Removed from favorite 8, and it should be date time. And why we require this attribute? Because for example, as we already discussed in the last lecture, that there are chances in the future that a user can remove, user want to remove a job from his favorite list. Okay, so we need this attribute. Okay, so here you can see this is our model name, which is user saved jobs. Okay, and the attributes that we want to edit here is job references, user references. And what this references will do, that this references will manage the referential integrity between the job user and user saved model. Okay, and this attribute removed from favorite 8 is its own attribute. Okay, which is of type date time. Okay, and here we will store the information that when user removed a job from his favorite list. Okay, we will not going to remove that record from the database, but we will keep it for the information. Okay, and then you just need to press the enter button, and it will create a migration for you, and it will create a model for you. Okay, so now first go to the model, and here in the models you can see user saved job, so it belongs to user and it belongs to job. Okay, so we need to set some custom association here, because it belongs to job is fine, but it belongs to user. Okay, and we already know that we have two different roles of user in our database, like first is a job seeker and other is a employer. Okay, but we want to associate using to with the job seeker. Okay, so what we need to do, belongs to job seeker, belongs to job seeker, and then class name, class name must be user, and then foreign key is user id. Okay, so this way you can see that we can define custom association. So we do not have the model name with job seeker, instead what we have, user model. So but we are referring this job seeker as the class user, and the foreign key is user id. So here you can see belongs to job seeker, class name is user and foreign key user id. Okay, and since both are the required, so we do not need to add optional true here, because whenever we create a user saved job we need to have this. Okay, so for example, if you add optional true here, okay, that is not a good practice. Why? Because it can save the user so saved jobs without a job and job seeker if you use optional true at both. Okay, but we don't need this. Why? Because if we want to keep the records for user saved jobs, we must validate the presence of job and job seeker or the user for user saved jobs. Okay, so you can remove it from here. And now we need to define the has many part within the user and job seeker model as well. Sorry, job model as well. Okay, so let's come to the user first. And in the user, what you need to define, that here you need to define has many user saved jobs. Okay, and then has many jobs through user saved jobs. Okay, so here you can see that this is our association. So user has many user saved jobs and jobs through user saved jobs. Okay, so when user has the record for user saved jobs, then we can find the jobs associated with that job seeker or that users. Okay, now what we need to do in the job model, that here in the job model we need to define here like the same thing, the association that we defined here. So let's say, which is has many user saved jobs and has many users. Okay, it has many users through user saved jobs. Okay, so that is fine for our case. Now we defined the association. Now what we can do, that we can define we can run the migration to get the table of user saved jobs into our database. Okay, so go to the terminal and here rails db migrate. Okay, so you can see that the user saved jobs table has been created into our database, and you can see this into the schema.rb. Okay, so just go to the bottom and here you can see user saved jobs, integer job id and integer user id. So it has not null false. Why? Because these attributes we need to require to keep the referential integrity between job user saved jobs and job model and user saved jobs and user model. Okay, now what we need to do, that we need to add some button to the view so that user can click on that button to mark this job as saved job. Okay, so let's go to the browser. Sorry, let's go to the terminal first and run the server. Okay, and here what we need to do, first refresh the page. Okay, and go to, let's say, jobs form. Okay, or let's make it only jobs page. So here we will first add a button here. Okay, but let me show you something, that just sign out from the here. Okay, and now you can go to the jobs. Okay, so we will add button here to mark save the job or as the favorite job, but that button should be visible only if user is signed in. Okay, so let's go to the browser, and then, sorry, let's go to the code file, and here you can see the jobs index. Okay, and here along with the view job button, what we need to do, that either we can say this button like let's say link to save job. Okay, and then for now just provide a dummy link, let's say javascript void 0. Okay, and then class btn outline prime danger. Okay, just one dash and save it now. So when you save it, you can see that even you are not signed into the system, the job is still visible to you. Okay, so you can keep save this job for the future. But what usually happen here, that if you are not signed into the system, you cannot see this button. Okay, otherwise you can perform some wrong actions here. However, we can just display this button and we can add a before action authentication for the user, but we will avoid that check. Okay, why? Because this button should be visible only when user is signed in. Okay, and the other thing is that employer cannot save this job as the preference. Okay, he should have the role job seeker. Okay, so let's go here, and here we need to add the condition that if user signed in and current user dot job seeker. Okay, we can just match this method name with the user model. So here you can see, okay, we have the job seeker methods, the, which returns the boolean output if job seeker is true. So if user signed in and current user dot job seeker, then only we will display this link. Okay, so now let's do this, and if you refresh the page, now you cannot see this button. Okay, now let me sign in with a job seeker first. Okay, so let's sign in with this user. Okay, and if you log in and we go to the jobs page, we can see this button. Okay, that means now a job seeker user is signed in. Okay, it should not be an employer. Okay, as of now we will discuss the reason that later we will discuss this reason that why we are only limiting the job seekers to mark a job as favorite. Okay, but now here you can see that the user can see this save job button only if he is signed in or only if he is a job seeker. Okay, so not or and we need both the condition. First, user need to be signed in, and then user must be a job seeker, then only this button will be visible. Okay, now let's try to sign in with a user who is not the job seeker but the employer. Okay, so whether we are seeing this button or not. Okay, because we need to verify all the things. Okay, the first thing is this button should not be visible when user is not signed in. Okay, and if user is signed in but user is not the job seeker, then this button should not be visible. Okay, right now we are signed in with a job seeker user, so this button is showing here. Okay, now let's sign out from here. Okay, and go to the console and find a job seeker record. Okay, so or better we can find it from, let's say, console. Okay, so here what we need to do. Okay, so user dot where employer dot first. Okay, so let's log in with this Sharika, copy this and sign in, paste this, and now let's provide the password. So okay, sign in. Okay, so you are signed into the system but still you cannot see the button. Why? Because this user is the employer. Okay, and we are not allowing employer to save the job as the favorite list. Okay, so the initial part has been done here. Okay, now let me sign in with the job seeker again. So let's sign out him and sign in Travis. Okay, so when you go to the job, you can see this button as save job. Okay, so now initial part has been done, and what is that? We created the model, which is the third model to which is required to implement the many to many relationship between the job and the user. Okay, and we added the condition that only a signed in user, if he has the role job seeker, can see this button. Okay, now we need to implement the next part, which is to implement a controller and allow users to click on this button and to perform some action in the background. Okay, and we will do this part in the next lecture. Okay, and but that's all for this now. Okay, we will meet into the next lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.